Hello, welcome to Batcast 66. It's the podcast where every week we watch an episode of the 1966 Batman TV show and talk about it, except on those rare times where we don't do that. And this is one of those times because we are doing a little recap on season one. My name's Kendall.
And I'm Scott.
Batman 66 season one, Scott. What do you think?
Overall, it was a good season. I think a good start to the show. In talking to Kendall, because to help crystallize my thoughts on the season, I kind of did a ranking of how much I enjoyed each episode. And it definitely helped me crystallize my thoughts. For the most part, I think more than half of the episodes I think are good to great. Maybe a third or a quarter of them I think are just okay or kind of boring. And there's only one, maybe two. There's only one that I definitely think is bad.
Interesting. I'm interested to see what that is.
Yeah, I figured it might be fun to talk about. I don't want to go through the whole thing, especially because as seasons 2 and 3 goes on, there's going to be way more episodes. But definitely, I wanted to talk about my favorites and why I liked them, and my least favorites and why I don't like them.
Cool. And then, yeah, if you've been listening all season, we've been trying to track who's the 66 Batman's arch nemesis. And yeah, we're going to do some work there.
Yeah, I did my math homework last night for all of our rankings and stuff.
Cool.
So, we'll get into that. I feel let's talk about the season in general and our thoughts on it first, and then we'll get into the villains numbers, because I think one will inform the other as well. Because in doing my list, so the villains that appeared the most were Riddler with 4 episodes, Penguin with 3, and Joker with 3. But if I'm looking at my list, they're kind of spread kind of evenly throughout it. So it's not like one of them dominated all of the good episodes, which is interesting.
Yeah. Which is great, honestly. It's always a joy to see all 3 of them.
Yeah, and there's a lot of villains in this list that I know are iconic. Catwoman only appears in 1 episode, which was a surprising thing to learn from season 1. And obviously she's going to show up more as the show goes on. But there's also characters that were one-offs invented for the show. I really enjoyed Zelda the Great and Bookworm that I wasn't expecting to like as much as I did.
Yeah, Zelda the Great, Bookworm. I like King Tut.
I like King Tut. I think in a different plot, I'd probably like him more.
Yeah, well, hopefully he delivers a little better. But yeah, it's overall I think most of these are good. I have 2 episodes that I think are skippable, or 2 stories rather.
Well, I'm curious then. What are the 2 things you think are skippable?
So there was the one Joker plot. Oh God, I don't even remember what was happening in it. It was the episode I was not on.
All right, so that was Joker trumps an ace and Batman sets the pace. That is my bottom episode, the one I think is the worst one.
Yeah.
It's the one where he kidnaps this Maharaja for ransom, but he's pretending to be the Maharaja and is getting Batman to endorse the check. It's really weird and it's really, really boring and dumb. And the Joker's in it a bunch, but he's in his Maharaja disguise, so you don't get to see Cesar Romero being the Joker very much.
Yeah, it just was so boring.
For example, yeah, it's just bad. For example, that's my bottom one. But then my second favorite story is a Joker story. So again, they're just everyone's kind of all over the place.
Yeah, very true.
For
me, that's
sorry.
Oh, no worries. But yeah, the Mad Hatter episode, I think that story is so skippable. It's less boring than the Joker.
Yeah.
But just he's stealing hats and
he's mad.
Do they get baked into a cake or something?
No, they get covered in was it a wax sculpture or plaster?
Oh, yeah, that's it. That's
yeah.
it.
I mean, so that one's in my bottom 3, but it's not my second worst one. Just because the weird conveyor belt fight stuff at the end was kind of insane and fun. My second to worst one's actually episodes 1 and 2, High Diddle Riddle and Smack in the Middle.
Really?
Just because they're very, very basic. Like that, those ones kind of stick out to me a little bit more like a sore thumb. I guess because they're essentially the pilot episode. They hadn't quite figured out what worked and what doesn't yet. And there's like a lot of Riddler episodes this season, I think, utilize him a lot better in like similar ways. So ultimately it feels more like superfluous to me.
Interesting.
Like I don't think it's bad. The only one I think is bad is Joker Trumps and Ace Batman Set the Pace, the Maharaja one. Like I said, the next batch, I think, like up from that, I think are mostly just kind of boring. They're not bad, perfectly watchable, but like if I was not watching this show from beginning to end like we are now, I would cherry pick away from them.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I love those first two episodes. I think they're so fun.
I mean, I think that's probably my most controversial picks on this list, maybe, but yeah, I just they when I think back on them, like they don't really stick out to me as much as like some of the other
Juicy
episodes we
drunk
watched.
Batman.
Yeah, I mean, there's fun stuff in it, but
We talk about Molly like every episode.
yeah, yeah, but that's part of like why we talk about it is like it feels very strange. Like nothing like that really happens again, and I don't know. They feel really weird and out of place for me.
Word.
Yeah,
We'll
so
agree to disagree, even though I think
I
that's
I I
wild.
respect you liking those episodes more than me.
I love them.
Yeah,
But hey, that goes to show different strokes, you know?
yeah, and that's why having a discussion show is kind of fun. We just agreed all the time. Like, why would anyone listen?
That's true. Yeah, besides the two episodes I mentioned, I would be happy watching any of the others.
Yeah, even the ones I'm saying are like boring and skippable. Like, I wouldn't mind watching them.
So
But
I think I know your favorite episode.
yeah, I think you might know mine too. What do you think it is?
I think it's the Penguin Goes Straight.
Yeah, and then Not Yet He Ain't. Yeah, those are my number one episodes. I really like those ones.
Hell yeah. They are a lot of fun.
It's just we got to see a lot of fun. Like, well, all right. So it's no secret that the Penguin's my favorite of these villains, and we get to see a lot of fun like twists on the Penguin Batman dynamic with Penguin becoming a hero and Batman becoming a villain. Plus, the Penguin takes over the Batmobile, turns into the Birdmobile, and has like a bunch of new gadgets. And then they have to have like a big chase scene at the end between the Batcycle and the Birdmobile. Like, it's got a lot of elements that like seem tailor made for like me.
Is that the episode where the police like shoot Batman dead?
Yeah, they gun down Batman and Robin.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like that part is so crazy. There's a couple like scenes throughout the season that are just bonkers, and that's one of them.
Yeah, that's one of those ones like where I didn't expect to see this stuff. And I'm gonna guess that one of the other big moments from the season is your favorite episode.
Which one's that?
The bookworm terms while Gotham City burns.
It's one of my favorites, and yeah, that first that like opening scene is bananas.
Yeah, when Gordon gets assassinated, we're like, what? Oh my god.
Yeah, oh god, freaked out. But my favorite
Okay.
might be Joker Goes to School.
You know what? That's my second. Bookworm's my third.
Yeah, I think it's Joker Bookworm for me.
Yeah. I I was thinking about it when I was listening. I was like, I can't quite articulate why I like Joker Goes to School. He meets his fate the Grizzly Ghoul so much. But like it's the most different Joker plot, and it's like kind of fun, and like you get to see Robin have to be like Dick Grayson and deal with things. And like I don't know, it's just fun and memorable. But I don't know if maybe you can articulate why you like it so much compared to me.
I mean, I do love like the like fake evil Dick Grayson in the candy shop scene. Yeah, I thought it was like I liked the like evil dame. I like that it was like someone with a personal connection to the dynamic duo.
Yeah, and like it makes sense that we see Robin in school. Like
Yeah, it
we
was
never
fun.
do, you know? Like
Yeah, I mean, it probably helps that I just like am a big fan of this Robin.
mhm.
I just think he's a really cool cat.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like Burt Ward's Dick Grayson as well. But yeah, I don't, like I said, I can't quite put my finger on it versus some of the other like episodes. It's just like when I think back on like how much fun I had watching, this one's a top contender for me.
And that
And
bookworm episode, it's so disappointing that Roddy McDowell does not.
no, yeah, so yeah, that's my number three pick. My top three are all pretty close together. I Bookworm was really great. Like that was one of the big surprises. Just because you hear the concept of Bookworm and he sounds really boring. But yeah, Roddy McDowell really elevates that material.
Oh my God, he's so good.
Yeah. That's one I will revisit for fun, even when not that this is like our job, but we need to, we make a schedule and we try to stick to it. I have to watch these episodes and talk about them. But like, yeah, that's one of the ones I will probably revisit again and again.
Yeah, heck yeah. Especially like, I think that does a good job of like showing what this show is capable of.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it's like a completely original villain, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, he was
It's
made for the show. Yeah,
yeah,
he's been
because
it.
shows
Yeah,
up like later in the comics, right?
yeah. I think when we did the research, he showed him like what the '80s. He was like a huntress bad guy.
Word, yeah.
It was Batman Confidential, if I'm remembering correctly. I don't have the bookworm notes in front of me.
So I just feel like, yeah, it just goes to show like how creative the show can be and how bananas it can get.
You know what? That's a good point. That would be a good couple of episodes to show somebody who's like not already like familiar with this series, because it's also like funny but it's got like stakes and everything. Like it's
Yeah,
not complete silliness, like like Curse of Tut.
yeah, which is as insane as that episode is, like I kind of like it. His plan is really dumb, but
Yeah.
yeah, this is a good balance.
Also, book yeah, because Bookworm has like, all right, so they kill Commissioner Gordon in the beginning, and then Batman just gets stuck in a giant book and is about to get cooked to death.
It's
Like,
so insane.
so it's the full gamut of what the show has to offer.
Yeah, we have like two more one-shot villains this season. Should we talk about Zelda the Great?
Sure. I think that might have been the episode I was the most surprised that I enjoyed as much as I did.
Yeah, I think it was all played like really well. And yeah, like I feel like Zelda was a huge example of like, oh, Batman is so handsome, I must turn myself in. But I think it's done like more tastefully here than in other
Yeah,
episodes.
I think because she's quote unquote the main villain definitely helps. So we get to spend a little bit more time with her and get to know her and her motivations a little bit more. Versus like
Yeah,
a lot of the times it's like a side character that does that.
yeah, like we know she's only interested in stealing money in order to pay for her like performances.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, she's still breaking the law. She is a little more redeemable than like,
She's like the least cartoony of all of the villains.
yeah. And that episode was a lot of fun. There was like they've never been mentioned again, but like I feel like the guy she was working it with was part of some like mysterious syndicate.
Yeah, I definitely got that as well.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah, just that's just what it's going to come down to. Yeah, it was fun and yeah, I enjoyed it, and I remember at the time we were both surprised how much we enjoyed it, in a good
Yeah,
way.
in a good way.
And then we have one more one-off villain because this is going to be our last time to talk about these characters, right?
Yeah,
So what did you think about False Face?
I thought he was pretty creepy. I remember enjoying those episodes a lot.
Hmm.
Um, except I feel like if I'm remembering correctly, to speak on like Zelda's heel turn, I think it was a lot. It stuck out more as like, this is pretty weird in the Boss Face
Oh yeah,
episode.
his mall.
Yeah, because she
Oh yeah, what was
she
her name?
turns like earlier
What's her name?
in the story.
What's her name? Blaze.
Is that where Blaze came from? She was like the acrobat.
Yeah, yeah, that was her then. Yeah, because yeah, I remember she was set up as like a really interesting, like also villain, and then in the second half, she just simps for Batman and like helps him.
Yeah, I
It
feel
was
like
really
even
disappointing.
in the first half,
Yeah.
to the point where it was like, why is False Face keeping her around? She's obviously fucking up his shit.
Yeah. Yeah. I put False Face as number 12 of 17 on my list. And that's not necessarily because those are bad episodes. It's just the 11 above it, I just liked more.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm into False Face. I'm kind of disappointed we're not going to see him or Bookworm. I feel like Zelda, as much as I like her story is very much complete.
Yeah. I'm not upset that we don't see her again. I'm actually kind of glad, like, oh, yeah, she's getting reformed. And like, that's the end of her character arc. Like, she actually had an arc. Most of these characters don't.
Yeah.
But like Bookworm and False Faces concepts haven't, like, their gimmicks haven't been completely exploited in those first appearances. I do know they eventually show back up in like the comics and stuff, but we're just talking about the show now. Because like the comics are cool and all, but like that's not Roddy McDowell.
Yeah.
Like
It
that's
has
such
to
a
be Roddy
big,
McDowell in your head.
yeah, that's such a big part of what makes Bookworm so great.
Yeah, God, he's so good.
Yeah.
Like,
You know what? I think as far as like performance goes, I think he is my favorite villain from this first season. If I'm taking everything else out of consideration,
yeah, I mean, I'd agree. I think he delivers like one of the best, if not the best performances in this whole season.
he's easily the most menacing one.
Like his unhinged like outbursts are like jarring but like believable.
And that's what makes him scary.
Yeah.
Like
But
Frank
then
Gorshin
it's like
does that as the Riddler, but like it's silly.
yeah, and like also like more creepy, I feel
Yeah,
like not a good way for the Riddler.
yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. Roddy McDowell. Whew, what an artist.
Yeah, I gotta watch more of his movies. I've mostly just seen this and Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, me too. I mean, but especially like the later Planet of the Apes, like he's the reason to watch it.
I'll be honest with you, it's been so long since I've watched those movies.
I just watched them all like 2 years ago.
Nice.
It was the first time I had seen like the fourth and fifth one.
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen the later ones in like completion. I think I just caught them like smatterings of them on like TV back in the day.
Yeah, I mean they're okay.
Yeah, but I love the first one. Anyway, yeah, Bookworm's really good. I am sad we don't see him again, but you know what? Like that means he doesn't have a bad episode.
That's true.
We already have bad Joker one, and I would argue a much lesser Riddler one.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
I guess speaking of Riddler, and like looking at my list, one of the things that surprised me. So like Riddler's got 2 episodes in my top five, and like 2 episodes in my bottom five.
I guess so I don't have my notes in front of me,
Yeah,
um, which is bad podcasting on my part. Sorry about that.
it's fine. I won't fire you.
I'm apologizing more to the listener.
Yeah.
I guess for my sake and theirs, what are all the Riddler episodes?
So, all right, this is going to be very controversial, I think. But my number 4 episode overall is the Death in Slow Motion and Riddler's False Notion, the silent movie episode.
Hmm.
I really liked that concept, and once we found out what he was doing, I really liked that idea and that twist. I know we're talking about it. We definitely like because it was originally a Joker story from the comics. Like it definitely feels more suited for him. But I think that's part of what made it so interesting for the
Yeah.
Riddler to do. And I like that he was foiled at the end. He like because Batman saw through his like an extra layer of his riddle. It's like he almost basically won if it wasn't for like his own like baked in
Chris?
like Achilles heel from his
Yeah.
gimmick. I don't know. It just was a lot of fun. I liked the idea of them making a silent movie of like their caper.
Yeah. And of them like defeating Batman.
Yeah. I don't know.
Because it was all to sell to that collector, right?
Yeah, and then he was gonna rob that guy at the end. As
Yeah, I thought that was a pretty interesting twist.
Yeah. Plus we got to see them do like a bunch of costumes and like a lot of different kind of weird scenes. And there was like a fun mystery element that wasn't like frustrating or anything. Like it was all much more playful.
Yeah, very plain.
And then my number 5 was Riddle a Day Keeps the Riddler Away / when the Rat's Away, the Mice Will Play. This to me felt like the second draft of High Diddle Riddle and Smack in the Middle, where This is one where they have that big fight scene in like their fake Statue of Liberty at the end.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I did like
Yeah.
that fight.
I think that is my favorite fight scene so far.
I agree.
It had a lot of similar beats to the first the Mammoth episode. Like he kind of kidnaps like an international, like he almost creates an international incident, kidnaps the guy who plays Commodore Schmidlap. I don't know. It was just a lot of fun. His gang he went into was more interesting instead of being like really hung up on like Molly as like Robin. She got to be a little bit more like involved in like the Riddler scenes and stuff. I don't know, just to me, this is more of the quintessential Riddler episode.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah, that episode was insane.
And then somewhere in the middle of mine, I have the Ring of Wax. Give him the axe. There's the Riddler like wax figure one. It's mostly just kind of forgettable compared to his other appearances.
Yeah, it's his schemes are interesting because it definitely felt like they all had like I think like Penguin always has some like business under a fake name. The Joker for a minute seemed like he was always going to be involved in like international incidents
Yeah,
and maybe kind of with the Riddler, although it looks like he kind of took a turn into like art.
yeah,
But
and
he
I
was
think that's
also like started doing like international incidents too, right?
he did a bunch of that. I think turning into like making art or a crime into an art is an interesting angle for a guy like the Riddler, which is probably why I
Yeah,
like the silent movie one.
yeah. It is yeah, it's an interesting idea for the Riddler because his like whole thing is like so theatrical. I mean, I guess they all are, but there's like a level of creativity like in all of the Riddler's crimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think there kind of needs to be because his gimmick requires like a level of creative thinking.
Yeah.
Like the Joker can just do like gags and like
Yeah.
Penguin
And
just
that's
do, like bird puns and umbrellas.
yeah. Not that there isn't an artistry to either of
Of
those,
course, but
but yeah, the Riddler, he's definitely like he plays it off too, like I am a genius.
yeah. And you believe that he believes that.
Oh yeah, he's so good at it. Frank Gorshin is also like, whew, what a pleasure to see on screen.
I mean, I would say I don't think there's really a bad performance this season, at least from like principal players. You could argue maybe like the Mad Hatter,
I
but
mean,
I
I
think
think
he's
he does
fine.
good too.
Yeah.
I think everyone just like kind of hams it up.
Yeah, and that's part of what makes the show really fun. Like it's silly the situations and like dynamics in play, but everyone takes it seriously. And that's what makes it good.
Yeah, for sure. Mr. Freeze is someone we'll see again, but not played by this actor, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, I believe every time he shows up, it's a different actor, and I don't quite know why.
I thought he was so funny.
Really, I remember you really liking his like the scene at the table where he's like in Batman are like having dinner and kind
Oh,
of
well, that
himself.
got so intense
Yeah.
there. But while he's like walking around in his like spacesuit thing, he's just like he's the proto Arnold Schwarzenegger, Mr. Freeze.
Yeah. And I know that's a controversial opinion we share. I don't think Batman and Robin's that bad a movie. It's definitely in line with this show, which is what I think people did not want it to be.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
its biggest sin is that it's way too long, but
Well, there's a million characters to.
there's a million toys to sell in it. But yeah,
But
I definitely see him. At least this version of him. I don't know what the other Mister Freezes are really like yet, but like yeah, this one does share a lot of in common with that interpretation of Mister Freeze.
yeah, I'm a fan.
Even that like he's German and Schwarzenegger's Austrian, right?
Was this version German?
I think he was. I remember they said his name because it's not Victor Freeze.
Yeah, that's right. I forget what it was, but
Pretty sure he was German.
yeah, that makes sense.
Oh yeah, because I made a joke about he might have been a Nazi scientist.
Oh, geez.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that now.
What
Yeah.
else do we want to talk about?
I don't not anything else I want to hit on this season. I'm looking forward to season two. now that the show's firing on all cylinders behind the scenes, and like the actors and writers know these characters a little bit more, I'm excited to see more than one appearance of Catwoman.
Yeah, me too. I feel like she had a lot of she had a fun episode.
Like, yeah, she kind of wound up in the middle of my thing. The fact that Batman fought a tiger really like saved a lot of it for
Yeah,
me.
that was nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really felt like maybe the closest to like an Indiana Jones movie as this show has gotten.
Yeah, I can see that.
There were a lot of like death traps and treasure maps, if I remember.
Yeah, I remember there was like she had like, no pun intended. Well, I guess the pun was intended. She had catacombs, which had like false passages and stuff.
Yeah, it was pretty fun.
Yeah. Before, so some of the side characters, like, what was your surprise? Like some of your surprises. One of the things I was surprised by is like consistently having like Warden Crichton be mentioned or seen.
Yeah, I
It was a consistent little bit of world building I enjoyed.
yeah, I feel
I
like it's
expected none,
dropped off.
you know.
Like I feel like we haven't heard or seen him in maybe a little bit.
Yeah, I know they mentioned in the Bookworm episode that like Riddler was in jail and they were gonna like recruit him to help. I don't think they mentioned Crichton in that. But again, that was like a fun little bit. Like there was a lot of little world building bits where like they mentioned Catwoman like a long time before she showed up.
Yeah, I was surprised by the amount of continuity.
Yeah, again, because I expected zero. So the fact there was any is pretty cool. Like we said in the beginning, like Batman did mention his parents' murder. I didn't expect that to even come up. There was a Was it the Bookworm episode with Thomas Wayne's clock tower?
Oh, maybe.
I think it was. Robin was like attached to the clock. It was one of the later episodes in the season. Yeah, because Robin was in the bookmobile when he was captured. He
That's
read
right.
that one book that put him to sleep, you know?
But side characters, I think Alfred maybe. I ended up liking him a lot more than I was expecting.
Yeah, I liked Alfred a lot in the show. And I like that he gets involved in he got involved in more plots that I expected him to.
Yeah, like I think a penguin and the Mad Hatter.
Yeah, Mad Hatter, he's going undercover to plant something like a tracking device on one of his hats. And then the penguin kidnaps him and brainwashes him at the end.
That's right. Yeah, Alfred is he's cool. I
Yeah,
wish he had a spinoff.
I appreciate him a lot more as an adult than I did as a kid.
Yeah. And
Uh,
like it's funny, there was I forget what story it was where Batman's like, I'm gonna call Alfred. I know he's in the Batcave because
oh yeah,
he's so punctual
yeah.
that
This is
like
the time
every
he,
Thursday at
yeah,
2, he's like dusting down there.
yeah. He's like cleaning something specific, and then of course he is, and that's part of what makes it
I
fun.
think it was like the atomic
Oh yeah,
battery.
yeah. It was the atomic pile or whatever. Which yeah, Batman's lab is insane. His Batcave.
Yeah, they really went all out with that set.
I guess it makes sense. They knew they were going to use it a lot, so
But even
put your
from
money.
episode to episode, it changes.
Yeah, it changes a bit. Like they can relabel machines and stuff, but he has like recurring like elements. Like obviously, there's always the atomic like collider there. There's like the platform the Batmobile's on. There's obviously various computers and stuff, but like there's the big Lucite like map that they can
Yeah,
go on. Like there's some fun elements that come around. But I also just love how colorful it is. And I know we joke about how everything in the show is labeled in this whole city, but like that's so charming. I really enjoy it.
I love that it's a bit that sticks around too.
Yeah. And I love that it's not just exclusive to Batman. Like we see
Yeah.
it in all of like the sets they go to.
Anything else we want to talk about before we get into the villain rankings?
I guess not much. I mean, we've talked about each episode in much more detail. If people are curious about any of the, if you're somehow listening to this one first, you're curious about any of the things we mentioned, like go listen to those specific episodes. But I like. There's no element I strongly dislike at this point. There are tropes that like are kind of annoying, when you're not that we're like binge watching this show, but like when you start watching it over and over on the regular as an adult, it's like you start to see the patterns and like some of them are kind of annoying to me now.
Yeah,
But
especially
yeah,
these times when there's just so much TV to watch.
Yeah. But the show's still very enjoyable. I haven't hit like a wall where I'm like, all right, we're in the bad episodes now.
Yeah, I wonder if it'll happen.
Yeah, I don't know. I
I
know.
know the quality is supposed to take a dip
Yeah.
eventually, but I also find entertainment in things like that. So we'll see.
Yeah. I know season 3 is different. Like they kind of got like each episode becomes its own thing, but there's still multiple part episodes in it. So I don't know. I know from my understanding, just from pop culture, like osmosis, it's season 3's the bad season. But that's also the one with Eartha Kitt as Catwoman, so like it can't really be that bad.
Yeah.
And I think Surf's Up Batman's in that too. So like
Yeah,
there's still
that's the only episode I know that I've seen from that season.
yeah, me too. I know I've seen Catwoman episodes, but I couldn't begin to tell you what they were about.
And that's when she gets her car, right? Or does she have it now?
I don't know. I mean, Catwoman was driving around like a regular like van, if I remember correctly in the episode we saw so far.
Yeah, she gets like a Catmobile.
Yeah.
I know.
Um,
So yeah, very excited to for the future.
yeah, I'm looking forward to more. And we've got some stuff that's exciting for next season as well. So I think next season has like Egghead and like a bunch of other like fun classic 66 Batman villains and actors that go with them. So there's a lot of stuff I'm looking forward to. And obviously just more of what we have as well. Because one of the episodes I distinctly remember is the one where Penguin runs for mayor. I'm pretty sure that's season 2.
Cool.
I'm
Yeah,
looking
I'm
forward to that
excited
one.
for that.
Yeah. I know we talked a bit about it when we did Batman Returns last Christmas.
Yeah, that's right.
Because Penguin runs for mayor, and then I was like, oh, I wonder if that's inspired by this, which I'm sure is a comic book story as well.
We've had a couple of side episodes too. We had Scooby Doo and
Yeah.
Returns. Do we have any other ones?
By the time you listen to this, our Batman Day episode will have gone out.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it'll be very good.
Yeah, and we'll probably do some more side episodes just for fun as we go, and also to break up what we do a little bit as well, because not that this became a slog, but we start watching like shows over and over again, it can get a little monotonous. So
Sometimes it's nice to have a break.
yeah, and like, oh, hey, we're gonna talk about like some comics now, or like it's kind of fun to watch stuff like adjacent to this show.
Yeah, and I think I mean we'll probably continue to talk about it off mic, but I think we were talking about maybe having some more episodes like that this season.
Yeah. This next season's gonna be a lot longer too, than season 1.
Yeah. And like, season one, get through it. Now we know what to expect.
Yeah. And with that, let's put a cap on season 1 by let's go over our villains here a little bit. So last night I did some math homework, based on the at the end of each episode we scale the villain's plan and successfulness and how much it challenged Batman, on a scale of 1 to 3, 3 being the highest, 1 being the lowest. So I went through, I added them all together. I checked how many appearances they had and I averaged them out, because we're trying to figure out who this incarnation of Batman's like arch villain is. There was some interesting results. So I'm just going to go down the list here real quick. The total scores, Riddler had the most with 10, followed by Penguin with 8, Joker with 6, Zelda the Great had 3, Mr. Freeze, Catwoman, and Bookworm had 2, Mad Hatter, Falseface, and King Tut had 1 each. Now, Riddler was in 4 episodes, Penguin and Joker were in 3, everyone else only had 1. So because of that, I don't think, at least for the first season, everyone that showed up once shouldn't have any serious contention. I mean, Batman's arch villain, because then if I average them out, Zelda the Great has a perfect score.
Yeah.
And like, I don't think she challenged Batman nearly as much as like Riddler, Penguin, and Joker. So Joker's average was like a flat 2. He had a 3, a 2, and a 1 for his episodes. So it just averaged out that like, yeah, he's just a 2 overall. Riddler had a 2.5 and Penguin had a 2.6666 infinitum.
Mhm.
So like Penguin kind of edged out Riddler a little bit based on like our number ranking system, but it's extremely close, and an argument can be made for Riddler, at least for this
Yeah.
first season.
So, all right. So we got the numbers down.
Yeah.
It kind of felt like, and I mean, maybe it's because he appeared in the first episode. I feel like the creators want us to think the Riddler is the arch enemy.
I get that vibe as well. Just the way everyone always talks about Riddler, like between like the police force and Batman, like he's so cunning and dangerous. And I think and he appears the most in the season, and he's mentioned in episodes he's not in. So like I kind of
Yeah,
always want to remind you that the Riddler's around. And I think this is before the Joker like became the de facto Batman villain, just like at like full stop. I know a lot of the times in the comics he and the Penguin were paired together, whereas like the Riddler was always his own thing.
interesting.
At least at this time. I would be interested. I am curious to see how this stuff shifts in seasons going forward, because I got to imagine like they probably will be getting feedback from like kids and stuff, and like they'll probably start playing into whoever the more popular characters are. I know that's why False Face didn't come back, because he was too scary.
I mean, and this is definitely using like future knowledge,
Yeah,
but I wonder, I feel like Penguin maybe moves into that role for this show.
I can fusing what limited future knowledge I do have. I can see that as well.
Like
Uh,
I feel like in the movie,
he seems
even
like
though it's the
yeah.
four of them, he's like calling the shots.
It seems like it's between him and Catwoman calling the shots, which it feels like right now in the show, Riddler would not be taking any stuff from them.
Yeah, and I think like there's definitely like a butting of heads between the four of them in the movie, but yeah,
And that's,
I see
and that's
what you
part of
mean.
what makes the movie great. Now we should mention in release order, like now that season one's done, the movie would be next.
The movie would be next.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're we're,
Um,
we're gonna save the movie for we're gonna do something special with that. But just so you know, in like production stuff, that like the movie's next. Like Julie Newmar couldn't make it, so Lee Merriweather plays Catwoman in it. Which, you know what? It's I know she's like a bigger deal in the comics than she was in the show. But thinking about it now, like, all right, so those if you're gonna do a villain team up, those three make sense. But then like Catwoman was only in like one episode at this point.
yeah. I wonder if that was some kind of scheduling conflict or
My
something.
understanding it was a scheduling thing.
Word. Because yeah, you would feel like they would use her maybe a little more.
I know she shows up a lot in season two.
Cool. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Don't worry, listeners. We know that the movie is next, but it's also the piece of media I've seen the most out of this.
Yeah,
And
it's arguably my favorite Batman movie. So I've seen it a lot. Ed and I have seen it together a lot. We want to do something special with it, so we might save it for like a finale.
it,
To be
it just
card,
feels like a,
yeah, cards on the table. We're not sure exactly what we want to do with it, but we definitely want to do something special.
yeah. So we'll get to it when we get to it.
Yeah,
Keep tuning in. Next season, are we talking about the future? Are we done
yeah,
with the villain rankings?
yeah. I'm not. I don't have anything more to say. I think we talked about them a lot when we talked about the episodes too.
Yeah. So I'd say the Riddler this season was the archenemy.
Yeah, even though like our numbers don't quite match up to that, but like I agree about that with Riddler.
Yeah, you got to take a little
There has to be a little bit of like part
what
of
it
the
feels like
format.
the intent was.
Yeah. And they're so close to each other.
Yeah, 0.1 away from each other.
Yeah. Um Now I will so for season 2 and 3, like we'll talk about them in terms of like for that season 2, but we will start like doing a cumulative tally as well.
Cool.
So we'll see who it'll be interesting to track this over the seasons and see how it changes. And then at the end we could probably say with a little bit of definitiveness who Adam West Batman's like arch nemesis is.
Maybe it's himself.
Yeah, maybe it's Robin. Maybe there's like a big turn like later that we aren't expecting.
God, I hope so.
Yeah. Yeah, looking forward to coming back for season two.
Yeah, me too. And like we said, we're gonna have maybe some more deviations. Maybe we'll talk about things that, while they aren't Batman related, like invoke kind of like the
Like the spirit.
aesthetics like that this show kind of brought about.
Yeah, we've been talking off camera. We definitely want to do some stuff related or like I said, adjacent to this. Maybe we might do like one of the Twilight Zone episodes that like Adam West is in, something like that. I know some of the Burgess Meredith episodes are some of the all-time classics in that show.
Oh yeah. There's a Cesar Romero movie that, if I didn't already pitch, I'd like to pitch to you.
Oh yeah, I think the only other thing I've seen Sergio Romero was what's that show where he had like an island?
Leisure Island? I don't know.
I don't remember what it's called, but like it's the famous the plane thing, like a little
Yeah,
person. I don't remember what it was called, but that's the only other thing I know from Cesar Romero. So yeah, I would be interested in watching that movie if you want.
cool. Yeah.
Man, I wish Roddy McDowell came back so we can watch Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, I mean, fuck, maybe we just will. Who cares?
Yeah.
It's a
So
podcast and everyone just has to deal with it.
so yeah, and obviously we've already been doing stuff for like themed things for like holidays and stuff. We might do the other Scooby Doo movie for Halloween again. That would be fun.
Yeah,
Um,
I'd like to
yeah,
do maybe like a episode from a different Batman TV show.
yeah. We talked about a couple things. Like I would like to do Beware the Great Ghost because
That makes a
back in
lot
the
of
animated
sense.
series with Adam West. Um, yeah, there'll be some fun stuff we can do just to break it up every once in a while. But we will still be primarily watching an episode a week and talking about it.
All right. Well, we'll see you next time for the
See,
first episode of Batman season 2.
all right, yeah, I got to put a new disc in my player.
Can't wait.
All right, thanks, guys.
Later.